but remember the Chicago Sky, the national title winner at LSU. And she talked about where all this attention started with her and Caitlin Clark. Angel Reese spoke to the media. She didn't speak to the media after the game against Caitlin.
Angel Reese is among the most talented young players in the NBA, are presently in the middle of a huge dispute, and the consequences might terminate your career. Her lifelong suspension has been announced, shocked fans and the sports world. Everyone wants to know how it happened. Did things get out of hand so quickly? Moreover, why is the league declining so much? Harsh on a player who was before thought of as the women's basketball's future. But first, the worst part is that the specifics are still under wraps. Nobody is yet fully aware of the story, and the conflict with her is getting worse. Reese's next move could impact her reputation. Actions will be essential. Is this the conclusion of her profession, or is there more to it? Angel Reese's that we haven't yet seen. She isn't the only one affected by scandal. Shockwaves are being sent through the WNBA as a whole, which has been battling for greater acknowledgement and respect, is now addressing one of its largest problems to date, followed by Teresa Weatherspoon, her coach. Yeah,
it's very disappointing. I saw that spoon, Teresa Witherspoon. She was a WNBA player, unbelievable player. She got terminated today from the Chicago Sky.
If you're her coach and you care about her, you're not doing this. You shouldn't be making the focus another statistic.
Who is also what is being thrust into the spotlight? What part did she play in this circumstance? Is she merely an innocent bystander? There is more to her involvement. Prior to getting into the specifics, would you kindly like and subscribe to the channel to ensure that you don't miss any. I promise you an update on this explosive subject. The reality of this circumstance is around to emerge, and it will depart. Everyone is stunned at Angel Reese's age of 22. Being older is not something that can be readily assert ignorance given her age and professional basketball player. She's much beyond what can be readily impacted or ignorant of the regulations. It's difficult to believe that a person like Angel, a player with such high standards, could always attempt to portray oneself as a victim of poor decision or other influences. It's not like she's a youthful athlete initially being foolishly led astray by. This is a more experienced person's professional who ought to be aware by now precisely what she is expected to do on, and the notion that she didn't leave the court completely comprehend the repercussions of her action just isn't sustainable. There is truth, and it is becoming more difficult to ignore every day. Even with well-known personalities in women's like Cheryl Swoops and in basketball Wilson intervening to protect her, the Angel Reese has already caused harm, a situation where no one, regardless of how she can be protected from the fallout by legendary of her behavior after investigating the circumstance. It becomes evident that the penalties for gamers who are discovered to be employing performance-enhancing substances, such as often steroids, are not as bad as one could assume that an athlete in most situations receives a suspension typically for 20 games. Little more, however, it's typically thought of as a brief setback. There is undoubtedly a minor. Put an asterisk next to their reputation, beside their name, but following the service of the suspension, they appear in court again. And over time, the public becomes less aware of the incident. People's memories tend to fade, and the player hopes that the media and fans will do the identical, but Angel Reese isn't receiving. This type of indulgence isn't merely a Angel's brief punishment. Confronting is something far more grave. She has received the most severe punishment. Yes, a lifetime ban in her sport is possible. Angel Reese, the same person who was once hailed as the upcoming great thing in women's, the basketball player who was expected to inspire her group to achieve greater success, is currently permanently removed from the game. And this isn't simply a hiccup in the path that she can return following a period of. Considering this, it's a career ending. The type of public catastrophe that for years everyone has been discussing, that the consequences of this are severe, and not only for Angel, but for the league as a whole. This type of circumstance leaves people shaking their heads in confusion about how, if you believe this everything went horribly wrong, is the first instance of this kind of thing has shocked the world of basketball. Once more, in 2017, NBA player Joakim Noah was suspended for 20 games for testing positive for a prohibited drug. At the time, it was a scandal, but Noah's. The penalty was not as severe as Angel Reese is currently confronting Noah's. It was more like a corner as a temporary punishment. After that, his suspension returned and kept working for Noah. It was a noteworthy occurrence, but not something that sadly shaped his legacy for. She's not getting the same Angel chance to make amends. The message is clear. She'll be banned for life. The end of the basketball career and no likelihood of returning. It's the most gather your belongings. You're done here. And it's stunning even more when you think about the background following the Joakim Noah incident. The NBA and WNBA both took harsh measures against using steroids, makes it obvious that such conduct would not be accepted. The simple reference to steroids turned into in professional basketball. It was considered taboo, a derogatory term that might damage a player's standing just by due of its association with the leagues. Desired to make sure their sports were tidy and that nobody could doubt the fast forward to their athletes' integrity to 2024, and we are now back there in the realm of scandal. But this time the stakes are significantly higher due to the fact that the WNBA has never experienced with a scandal of this size previously. To fully comprehend Angel Reese was able to elevate her own profession to such a terrible conclusion. We must return to her initial years when she initially joined the Chicago WNBA. Expectations were really high. Angel was envisioned as the next big thing. Whatever the player would alter the game for the group and raise the bar enthusiasm for women's basketball, that there was a lot of excitement about her as a revolutionary individual with the capable of guiding the Chicago Sky to titles, but things didn't work out as intended rather than taking center stage. Everyone thought she would be found by Angel, herself continuously eclipsed by Caitlin Clark, another rising star. A player named Caitlin Clark appeared to be unstoppable, swiftly rose to the top. She was a force in women's basketball, effortlessly shattering records, and in just her rookie season, she racked up a staggering 761 points. All of this while keeping a tidy image devoid of controversy or conflict. Clark was amazing and the whole package. A team member and athlete, and someone who let her talent do the talking. Angel Reese, meanwhile, was having trouble She barely made it through final thoughts and viewer poll, her first 10 games. Reached double figures in half of them. The two were compared to Angel. They were cruel and unavoidable. Was frequently likened to Clark, and she made every comparison brief. The stress of being contrasted with Caitlin Clark's perception of being inferior to the player she was meant to be started to be a burden on Angel. It turned into evident that she was finding it difficult to manage the strain rather than concentrating on. She grew engrossed in honing her craft. She attempted to remain current by opponents that talk crap about everything, fabricating wounds to elicit pity, and even leveling charges based on race. Opposed to Caitlin Clark in an effort to spark debate, but none of it. Ultimately, talent is what really issues in professional athletics, and the talent of Caitlin Clark was unquestionable when Angel was struggling. Clark was doing well, and the distance between they kept expanding in desperation to keep going. Angel made the worst choice possible. Her profession, she started using steroids in the professional sports industry. Drugs that improve performance are viewed as a fast remedy for sportsmen who feel they're lagging behind because of steroids boost muscle mass to hasten the healing process times and increase endurance. An athlete who is having difficulties, such as Angel, to stay up with a person as gifted as the allure of steroids was Caitlin Clark, theoretically probably too powerful to oppose. These medications ought to have provided her with the edge she required in order to compete. They ought to have accelerated and increased her strength competition. But despite the assistance of Angel, was still unable to keep up with steroids. Of course, there were some with Caitlin Clark, games in which Angel performed better. Occasionally, she had moments where she appeared capable of competing at the level of Clark, but those times were very few in number. Overall, Clark remained in control. Angel, meanwhile, was still trapped in the darkness, and worst of all, Angel wasn't. Teresa, her coach, is alone herself in this scandal. Weatherspoon was implicated as well. Apparently, rather than carrying out what a responsible coach ought to assist Angel, Teresa naturally upped her game. Angel was urged by Weatherspoon to using steroids to level the playing field. Teresa Weatherspoon's field once reputable person in women's basketball is currently being suspended herself as an outcome of her participation in this. The charges made against her are scandalous, serious instead of directing Angel. Despite her difficulties, Weatherspoon is alleged to have chosen the simple route by endorsing Angel's usage of steroids is a startling defection of her position as a coaches and mentors are expected to assist their players in developing both on and off the court, in which they should be those that advise their athletes to stay away from poor choices and assist them in achieving their maximum potential by diligence and commitment. But in this instance, Weatherspoon did the exact opposite, allowing Angel's worst instincts and permitted the situation to spiral out of regulate whether the Spoon suspension is. It's a career, not just a small penalty. Her pivotal moment as Sterling, the reputation has been totally damaged. She was perceived as someone because of a scandal, able to direct the Chicago Sky to achievement. But now she's seen as someone who is instrumental in one of the WNBA's biggest steroid controversies ever witnessed.